Hey, so why is the day count so important? To me, when I first quit for 3.5 years, it was huge. I didn't do it in community, but I did have a few sober friends. One of them named Amy, and she was ahead of me on her day count. And then she went to Montreal for a soccer match and slipped. And so I passed her. And I vowed I was not going to let her pass me. And that really gave me some huge incentive, especially in those early days, which is so important, getting over the hump and breaking the cycle of brainwashing from this monster. And as I went along, I'd celebrate the 30, 60, 90, etc., days, especially up to a year. And, the only problem after that, by not being in community, I was really only celebrating my milestones with my girlfriend, and we eventually broke up. So, I was still friends with Amy, but we weren't talking all that much. And it led to me, after 3.5 years, deciding I could try to drink normally again. And if I'd still been declaring that day count, I very likely wouldn't. In fact, I almost know I wouldn't have, because I would not have wanted to give up the pride I had in maintaining that. So I do think it is so important. And, but I did drink and ended up 5 years of slipping. And now I'm at 13 and a half months of sobriety. And really the beginning of the end was by declaring my day count again. I've talked about this many times, but it started probably 15 months ago when I was really at a hopeless point. Couldn't even share because I knew I couldn't open my mouth without crying. And I finally just said, F it. And I hadn't been declaring a day count. And I finally did. I just said, this is day one and this has got to stop. Then I declared my day two. Then I slipped after that, but I got back on the horse, and redeclared. And I did that for another month or so before finally declaring my final day two on the head of my sobriety's call, which I always said I wasn't going to do until I knew I was going to make it stick, which relates to a recent video I did talking about Robert Downey Jr. saying, quitting isn't hard. It's that decision, the ultimate decision to quit, that is hard. And that I really basically made it that day. And then I started giving daily acceptance speeches talking about my day count. I made it fun and it was great, especially getting to my 30, 60, 90. So I think it is really, really important. And some will say, well, what about somebody that's had a year of sobriety, but they drank yesterday versus someone that's just been sober for 14 days? And I said, well, they're both very important. But the point of the continuous sobriety count is that was the last time you fed the voice. That voice is a parasite. Every day we don't drink, it gets weaker, we get stronger, to the point it shrivels up, but it's always with us. That's our only life sentence. But as long as we don't drink, it'll stay quiet for the most part. It'll still pipe up now and then, which is why we've always got to fortify ourselves. Just did another video on that. It needs alcohol to reinvigorate. And when we drink, even for one day, it's going to bring it back to life. Now, it takes it a while for it to catch up, to really kick in. That's why sometimes when we do pick up again, we can drink normally for a few days, maybe a week as I did, but then it comes back with a vengeance. I have a friend, she just hit 3 years of basically 99% of sobriety. She's also approaching her 1 year of continuous sobriety. I said in her case, okay, that slip didn't turn into a slide and come back to haunt her. I said, you might as well, call it 3+ years of sobriety in that case. And I was in a community that said you can just subtract the days you slipped. What I say to that is, all right, maybe for the first one. I said the first one's a freebie, but it's dangerous after that. I once tried that and then just found I'll just subtract one more day and then one more day and one more day. So I think that can be dangerous. So there's definitely a power to that continuous sobriety streak and keeping that voice at bay. And, everybody in recovery is a superhero, and our superpower is our perpetual ability to restart. And every day one you declare will either be your last or get you one closer to your last. And I'll sum it up with, who can say it better than AI? But they talk about the importance of declaring a day count as it makes it feel more manageable in terms of that one day at a time. It provides motivation and encouragement, creates a sense of achievement. It provides accountability and self-reflection. It facilitates social support, and it reminds you of your commitment to recovery. You know, I really had fun with it. I would get on a call that was for those over 1 year, but then anyone could share at the end, and I'd say to those people, hey, I'm at, say, 22 days, and to you folks over here, don't let me pass you. I have fun with the whole process, as it should be, and I've never felt shame, nor should you. This is a chronic brain disorder. It'd be akin to shaming someone with Alzheimer's for forgetting your name. So do not do it. Declare those day ones with pride. Declare every day with pride. As Brené Brown says, vulnerability is our greatest act of courage. So just like I say that sharing will accelerate your recovery by 566%, as will cold shower finishes, well, so will declaring your day count. I've got a friend doing it now. He's had to redeclare it or restart several times in his early sobriety, but I'll tell you, he's going to beat this thing a lot faster than a lot of other people. That'll do it. As always, remember, stronger, sober. And please like, share, subscribe. Thanks.